lead acid batteries with lithium batteries. He came up with a 2RU form factor. So 2 rack units. The battery's strength is it's plug in and play, it's unmanaged, and it can sit with a lot of the traditional infrastructure that sits out there in the grid. So each battery in that rack, this is our new battery, so it's 4.7 kilowatt hours. We started off with a 3.3, wasn't it? The first, there we go, got that right, 3.3 kilowatt hours. The interesting thing is that battery is probably 5 mils bigger than our 4 kilowatt hour battery. The advancements have been in the cell technology, so the amount of power that they can get in cells. Power Plus traditionally sits 1 generation behind on cells. So we could actually have that as 5.6 kilowatt hours in the same form factor, but we'll let other people test the cells for a couple of years first before we jump in. Fortunately and unfortunately for us, we seem to put our batteries in the most remote places of Australia, so anytime there's tech support, thousands of dollars to get there. So I'd rather let others experiment. Yeah. And we'll stuck the cylindrical cells on that. So we're one of the last dogs sitting there that haven't gone to pouch or prismatic. In it. And we'll look at those products as we go through. And if anyone's got questions about advantages or disadvantages for prismatic, cylindrical, prismatic, pouch, more than happy to talk about it. Last time I was in China, I've been to China a few times this year, and a huge amount of research seems to be going into pouch cells for some. It's probably because they're cheaper to manufacture. I imagine would be the main. Yeah, no, but for station, huge amount of research. And I've done a lot of.
I was going to say LG Cam, wasn't that a pouch?
I'll tell you a funny one. So I was at a cell manufacturer, and I brought that up. I said with pouch cells, I said, look, they've got to be held under compression. They're a bit flammable. But they go, no, we'll show you a penetration test. I go, fantastic. But they've got a video of a guy standing. I'm not making this up. Standing on the cell, on the pouch cell, with a power drill drilling through the pouch cell. Yeah. I'm like, wow, can't do that in Australia. But didn't kill him, which they were probably moderately pleased about. So we're sticking with cylindrical cells in our off-grid predominant rack mount battery for the foreseeable future, even though you lose on energy density. Well, you don't lose on energy density in the stack, but you lose on it in the individual battery. All right, we build cabinets. What are cabinets? Go for it.
Thanks for having me.
My name's Shane, you are?
John from Smoke Commercial.
Solely to have somewhere to put our batteries. That's the only reason, because if we were a cabinet manufacturer, we'd be broke. That's just the reality. So, and we've come up with quite an extensive cabinet range. We've got a really exciting cabinet coming. How far away is it, Evan?
We should be receiving samples in about 4 weeks' time.
And it's an 8. It's a completely different design.
It's like a new version of the 6 that takes 8 batteries, and it's actually sort of designed to properly ventilate big trunks and SD probes.
Yeah. And will be at a really keen price point, and it's very well designed. So it's a completely new design of cabinets, and then we'll redesign we'll slowly replace and update the cabinets. So we've there's a white cabinet. The whole lot's made in Australia. Include the external metalwork and the internal. The black cabinet, we get the data rack out of wherever you get data racks from, but all the internals are done right here in Australia using Australian parts. All right, come on through. We'll wait for Zane. Yep. Yeah. Okay. The reason we called it Whisper is actually there is actually a really unique feature. Like a stackable all-in-one system, let's be honest, there's a couple on the market, like 400 or whatever it is. We're all going to all energy. You might see 1 or 2 around at all energy. Yeah. So the reason that there's 2 reasons that we made the technology partnership with Redex, which is now Renox. The 2 reasons we went into the partnership with them. One is they actually are an Australian company. So this was engineered and designed here in Australia. It is manufactured offshore, but the engineering design, the data stays in Australia as well. So everything stays in Australia, so everything's kept onshore. But the second thing is we didn't, we wanted a real point of difference, and the point of difference on this inverter is there's 0 moving parts in this inverter. It's a fully solid state inverter. There's no fans, no moving electrolyte, no internal cooling, nothing like that. Hence the name Whisper, which the chair of the board came up with. He goes, because it's quiet, let's call it a Whisper. I thought, well, you're the chair of the board, so I'm probably going to acquiesce. So it is a very unique and very efficient inverter. What is it, 96% efficient, Evan?
No, 98.
98% efficient. All right. That's a 7 kilowatt inverter that can surge up to 8. and it's 13.7 kilowatt hours of batteries in the stack here.
So I might have missed it because I was in the bathroom, but can it be off the wall like that, please, or does it need?
No, if the wall's not fireproof, it needs to be 150 mils up.
Or
What's the standard? Someone knows the standards. 300.
300.
300. Yeah,
So
it
there's
can.
an option
There's
for
a
that.
bracket that you can do to install it off horse that we can supply.
the
Yeah,
kit,
yeah, you got.
the standard kit comes with a couple of different styles of brackets.
Yeah, but it can be just like that, floor mounted off the wall.
Yep.
And get rid of that fire rating.
Yes, yes you can. Yep. Now look, it's got 3 MPPTs. It's AC coupled. It can take DC. Everyone?
Oh, it's got the MPPT, so DC coupled
DC
solar,
coupled
but it
AC
can
solar.
work with external AC coupled
Yep.
solar.
Yep. And we can, if we absolutely need to, supply it with a 5 kilowatt nameplate on the inverter and have data sheets and all that. Call it a 5 kilowatt inverter. All right. It is a very well tested, heavily rolled out unit in Europe. Yet again, Power Plus been a little bit conservative. We haven't gone and got something that hasn't had a flogging elsewhere. So this is a big product overseas, and it will become a big product in Australia. We've taken quite substantial orders on them, and they're still coming through. And we actually scoped this product in before the cheaper home battery rebate. So I went to the board and said, we need a residential battery. It took me 2 months to talk them into it, and then a month after I did it, the cheaper home battery rebate was announced. That I looked like a genius. I was like, this is all right. So that's the whisper.
What's the capacity of each?
3.3 something.
So the total for 4 is 13.37.
Yeah,
So about 3 something each.
3.3. Yeah, you can run. We could sell it with down to 2 modules.
Right.
Right.
So is there a minimum then? Is it like, are they in series? Like,
They are in series. 2 is the minimum.
Well, 2 is the minimum. Yeah. You can take photos, absolutely. The only thing I'll ask you not to take photos is directly over top of one of our batteries if the lid's off. Just the cell pack that actually did that in Australia. They build a battery and go, but what are you going to do?
You know,
Um,
then we'd be able to.
Alrighty, so this is our factory area. So when Power Plus says it builds batteries in Australia, we're Australia's largest manufacturer of battery packs. We've got over 75,000 of our batteries out in the wild, and we can build up to 2,000 batteries a month right here in Scotland. So we've got a 9,000 square metre facility here. Right. 9 years ago, we were in a shed, in a canard storage shed. So the growth has been rapid, hard to keep up with, but it's been done with the support of the installers, partners, and all those sorts of things. And key to our business, which I think makes us a bit different, is we've got people like Edwin and all that, where we will go into bespoke solutions, which I'll go through a bit later. But right here, we're in battery assembly. So what we've got over here, so come over this way. You want a job, mate? That's for the day. Don't work with Claudia. Talk too much.
Oh no.
But yeah, you can have a look around. More fun to look around. All right. So when we say we build batteries here in Australia, like obviously we don't build. No one we try to have as much local content and local labour as possible available, including the assembly of all the mounting of the BMS boards, the LED, the circuit breakers, all that's done here. Every individual items are quality tested. And where possible, we do source products from Australia, whether it be our casing or other items. We do have an Australian built and made BMS board, which we don't advertise the product. It's for projects where if you have a customer that's just like, I need an Australian built battery that's genuinely Australian. We do have one where everything bar the cell pack is built in Australia. The BMS is built and designed here. The programming is done here. And the BMS is actually printed here in Australia. So it's a bit different. It's also a bit expensive because we're doing it all in Australia. So it doesn't sit at our standard prices. All right. So this is sub-assemblies, as we call it. Great team here at sub-assemblies working away. For the sub-assemblies, we go over to battery building, which is down this way. And it is, as I say, so it comes from sub-assemblies where a lot of the smaller work's done. All right, so we will look for we look for people that are good with their hands. At this technical level, you know, use tools, good with their hands. And also is over in this section, the cell packs weigh 33 kilos, so we actually also need someone that can lift the cell pack. Thanks for that, James. Or some of the bigger lads in the team. So there is that still physical element. So the builders that come over here, the batteries get put into racks without the lids on, and then they come around to battery testing. Many years back in this factory, like 3 years back in this factory, we punctured a cell, and we all got super excited to see what would happen, and it was really boring. One of our cells is 3.5 volts, so it's not, you know, that's the advantage to cylindrical over prismatic or pouch. You're not dealing with a lot of energy if something does go wrong. They were about the 16-minute point. We've got a video of one being punched. It takes about 16 minutes to put some carbon to start looking out. Where you get some small batteries and run them in series and parallel. Because we were cold. So I think everyone will be familiar with Victrons. We've got one of our Escape 5s there, one of our CET units testing. And I'll go into how the CET units work. At every step there's quality control. There. Over there, every battery, the front part of the battery gets a thermal camera run over it. Our cylindrical cells, even under full load, will struggle to get more than 5 degrees above the ambient, so even under full noise. The BMS and the breaker are the hottest parts of the battery, and they're all thermally checked. Here is a check done. There's 18 screws that go in, which is quite fiddly, but the batteries need to pass drop tests and vibration tests and things like that. So yeah, so the guys over here, last bit of QC, put the lids on, box the batteries, down this way, and then load them onto the pallets down here. Edwin. So this is failed QC, crush balancing wires. So one of these wires has failed. They'll check we've got a tool that plugs into every connector before we start going to manufacturing on the cell pack. Let's make sure it's all working well. As we know in this industry, warranty is just so important. Being able to stand behind your warranty is important. When we do our statistics, 80% of our warranty calls are caused by inverter. Because our battery's pretty dumb. It really just is a lithium fuel tank. There's not much going on there. Right. So the better the inverter integration and the more educated we get with inverters and the better we do it, the less warranty we have. So we go into pellets here and then go out to data racks. We get them from overseas, but we do all the internal assembly in here in Australia. So the cabling's from Australia, the bus bars, the labour's from Australia, Australian labour. We do as much internal assembly as we can. It's back to quality control, and we do actually take Australian made seriously. Although you could do next to nothing and get an Australian made sticker. If you put the box on it, you can get an Australian made sticker. So this is cabinets. And over here is empty because everything's been dispatched. It's kind of the same. We've got a small system being worked on, which is the dispatch line. Where Power Plus's big difference, I believe, to the market is we're happy to engage on meaningful projects. So we're happy to get everyone involved, get the whole team involved, and say, how do we solve this problem? Brad's been involved in one of those engagements where we solved a power rectification problem at a dairy, where we went from 2-phase to 3-phase. Ended up with a very happy customer, great case study, and we're selling those systems now as a mainstay product, whereas it started off with, we need to rectify it, we need a rectification solution for power. So we have off-the-shelf solutions now available in the best area, which we will have a look at the end of the tour. but we also still stick to our bespoke. So we'll have a chat about something and go, okay, this is a bit bespoke, this is an individual need. Edwin will go through an Escape 20 at some point and explain how sneaky it is, because it can actually sit as a UPS, so you can connect it either side of the meter. Don't tell anyone, Edwin. You can bypass a whole bunch of requirements and laws and just install it as a UPS with a big battery. Yeah, so this is where we're all built and assembled and tested in here. We do factory acceptance testing in here, and available, depending on the size of the site, we'll send engineers out for site acceptance testing, all those sorts of things. So this is a unique difference for power plus energy, that you can come to us with something quirky. And yet again, we've got to look at it and go, yes, it's us, not us. It's not us if it's more than 5 megawatts. Like, you know, so that either was just like, go, no. But yeah, we'll have a look. Everyone wants to do more than 5 megawatts. So this is a complete system that would be an Escape 20. Yes. So,
Do you have any of the aircon units that's optional on these? You need to look at? Because I wanted to see how that looks in Inverter.
we determine our batteries at the moment from fresh order to being able to fulfill that order. And that's based on demand. This time of the year, it always happens. And it's one of those old things. I couldn't staff and build the factory to build for peak, and we have too many staff and have to lay them off in February every year. So the lead time soon would be blow out the time. We'll go back through, we'll go over that way. Towards the end. I don't know if the sun's coming out or the foreseeable future. Like we can, it's like anything when you've got too much light, you just spread out a bit. You know, it's like
How many staff do you have on
liquid cooled. There's fire protection inside and PCE on one side, batteries on the other, all in one system. This is our first foray into the bigger scale. And we've gone into this, we've mainly gone into this because the market needs it. Yes, the best solutions we build here in Australia, we can't come anywhere near the build that these have been built overseas. This Australian engineered, Australian design, yet again Australian data, all of those key points that we haven't manufactured offshore. Right, and it enables us to compete at that sub $500 a kilowatt hour and compete comfortably. So I'd encourage anyone that has got projects to reach out, because we actually can very comfortably compete, but you're then going to get the backup and power prices and support and the warranty and all the benefits that still sit in that lower price point. We've got very high quality product. The products, even the fire extinguisher, it's not a service item. It's designed to last 10 years best. It's got an AI that sits behind it for energy arbitrage or F-gas and all that sort of stuff. So it's quite a smart bit of technology. We're actually using that ourselves. When we dump the power out of the batteries over there, we soak them up in there. So we're just sending power backwards and forwards, so we're no longer pulling power off the grid to be charging and discharging 215 batteries. And whenever it's right, we dump it into the grid when the price is right. Everyone should join in. So, and no, that's actually got a Red X proprietary. So the same ones that made the Whisper, it's actually got a proprietary inverter out of there. The batteries in that particular one are out of cattle, so they're called cattle, CATL batteries. Nova high voltage, so that's an 800 volt, 800 volt system. Yeah. What we find is we can go up, our biggest system with our 48 volt batteries is 450 kilowatts of output, 960 kilowatt hours of storage with 48 volt batteries. That's a couple of $1 million worth of kit with 48 volt batteries. Now you can get a megawatt of inverter and 2 megawatt of batteries in a container out of China for $500,000. So it's just, we've got to compete in different markets. And to be honest, the product that's coming from overseas, as long as you don't go out of your way to buy a product, there's some quality product out there. We've got quality competitors. It's a massive market, so we're just making sure we claim as many sectors as we can. Very happy, very proud of that product. We just had our first 2 rolled out in Victoria to a customer. But yet again, all factory acceptance testing, all the programming, everything done here. And then we roll them out. Are they up and working ones, or are they still commissioning?
Still commissioning.
Still commissioning.
They're waiting on Rogowski coils because the CP clamps are too small. It might not even be on the price list. So it's been designed for television rack. This is designed to slide in exactly where those ones are. So it's a shorter dimension to our other battery as well. Same cells as what's in the 47s, just but it's got not as much depth to it. So this will fit in standard 600 meter cabinets. but you officially haven't seen his battery. Two terminals on both sides for the daisy chaining in the front, no bus bar needed. They're very different to the standard design. So, hi everyone. This is an Escape 20. The ones that you order won't look like this. This is a bit of a dirty test rig that's been taken apart and put together a few times. But what's special about this system are the inverters. So you've got 12 inverters here. Each one is 2.4 kilowatts in size, and you've got room for 14 batteries down the bottom. These can be our 38s or the 47s. Please use the 47s because we make a lot more of those. What's special about these inverters is their redundancy. So we've got a system working here. The lights would be green if I had a battery turned on. I just sort of ran out of battery in a battery factory. You can pull out the inverters while the system's alive. Phase 2, which is this row here, is still operational. You've just got less power on phase 2 now. So holding the faulty inverter, and at the back you'll see two sets of terminals. Because in one of these 2.4 kilowatt modules, there are two 2.4 kilowatt inverters. One inverter is a current source or grid following. It's looking for power to come in. So that's your grid connect side or your generator side. And the second inverter is always forming a microgrid. So it's a true UPS. There's no switching or changeover. If the grid goes down, the microgrid is always running. The grid side is effectively always looking for power. If you take power away from the grid side, it doesn't affect the microgrid side, it carries on. So this is what you use in your critical infrastructure projects, stuff where you just absolutely cannot afford a power failure. You could lose multiple inverters and multiple phases, and the rest of the inverters will carry on. If you're doing a replacement, and you don't have to be an electrician to do this, you can be what we affectionately refer to as unskilled labor. You can push the inverter back in. As long as this controller is turned on, it will be programmed by the controller. It will know what phase it's on. I could take a phase 1 inverter and push it into phase 3, and it'll get reprogrammed for phase 3. I can push all of these back in while the system is alive, and they will come back to life and do stuff. It's the same with the batteries, which you can't really see here, but just say we've got 14 batteries connected. Just say you get a red light on one of them, you can turn the breaker off on that battery, pull it out while the system is alive. So a faulty battery is not going to knock over a system. A faulty inverter is not going to knock over the system. So this should result in a very small amount of calls midnight on Friday or midnight on Saturday when microgrids tend to fail. We can scale these systems up quite large. I think the biggest one in the country is about 500 kilowatts or so, 460.
460 kilowatt output, a megawatt of storage.
Megawatt of storage, and up to 2 megawatt hours on that one.
And 7 ton of copper to get 48 volts up to 450 kilowatts.
So it makes sense scaling to say 2 or 3 of the cabinets, even 4. You could scale to 32 of them if you really, really want to, if you love the solution. But after a certain scale, it makes sense to use those much larger blocks you saw out there, although they can't replicate this function. So this function of a pure UPS is, I think what Shane was referring to before, is how you sidestep grid connection requirements. Imagine if this was a single phase swear line in the middle of the country. You can bring your single phase into it on what we call our rectifier side, charge the batteries, and still have a 3-phase microgrid on the other side. You could have 3-phase inverters sitting on the microgrid side controlled by the controller. You can have 3-phase loads on the microgrid side, but you've still got a single phase grid connection. So as far as the grid's concerned, you've hooked up a really big vacuum cleaner. So no grid application required. It's a true UPS on the grid side. But on the microgrid side, it's a fully managed AC coupling solar controlling system. And you can make the battery as big as you want. You could have 1 power cabinet, you could have 10 battery cabinets alongside. There's no limits to the scaling. And yeah, any questions? Or all good?